Style. All right. Run a few more windows and then we're jumping right in. I'm just back up on the displayio bug hunt. Been in library land most of the day. Doing PR. Quite reviews, but moving PRs along. A few others as well. I'm ready for some other things, so I figured display would be a good thing to jump back into. Stream back on since we did it on Sim, so I also was helping this. Thanks again. Devices hooked up. Batterbox. It's one to PC, one to. I mean, more so the feather and the thing. Although the Ethernet connections actually are important as well. That'd be fine for the Ethernet. How about the okay. All right. So where do we leave off here? We made it to where we basically want to chase inside of this, I think. Get refresh areas. So what we found is that we are looping over all of the items, elements, I want to call them that, all of the things. I don't really have like a class for it, but like tile grids in our case, basically bitmaps is what it is going to boil down to for the most part here. But tile grid is the object that gets put in the group. Technically, this could be getting called on groups as well, but it's just going to chase down the chain until it finds tile grid. Or vector IO or something else, but in this case, we're always using tile grids because it's all bitmaps. And what we find is that we are looping for elements that are hidden. Is in this code, version of the code, like here. We are making 150 This one's actually making 150 rectangles and then making them hidden, putting them in line group. This version is running fast or slow? Medium. Well, that just rebooted. Pretty slow. But here and it did down here. You know, one thing I'm gonna do is I think I'm a little bit more fond of this sometimes when I'm doing testing. Turn this off. That way, when you modify code, it won't rerun automatically. Ordinarily is nice if you're trying to like iterate through a project. That's pretty nice actually, but in our case, when we're trying to test like this, and I'm not necessarily iterating through code very much, the resets are doing more harm than good. We're about at 12 seconds to complete the refresh right now, and then it is doing the thing where it's getting 2 successfully done real fast in a row, but then it has to wait that next like 12 seconds while it renders the next one. I don't know exactly why it's doing doing that. And so rectangles are way faster than lines. If we were to switch this back to lines, then this code will be we'll go visible. Right. Okay. Another thing is that you end up waiting during the refresh. Lots of extra spam now. Now we actually have the lines drawn. And pretty fast, right? Like it's obviously slow compared to like a phone or something or a desktop monitor, but it's like 2 seconds to render. Much faster than it was a second ago when the rectangles were hidden. But if we hide the lines, like this whole every other one, but even if we just say every one for now, then we slow way down. And we got 2 successful, but now we're waiting on the next one, and the next one is going to be like a minute or 2 or something. I forget exactly how long it was when I was doing this the other day. Oh, it was not quite that long. 20... Is it 12 seconds again? No, it's a little bit more than 12. It's like 15 seconds. Interesting. If we get another one at 15. So that would be what, 88? Yeah. Okay. That's not bad. I mean, it's much slower than it should be, but I was thinking in the actual person reporting this, I think was much slower. A minute or something. They're on it. We're on an port else as well. Teensy 4. for a set of Pico as well. Oh yeah, they are on. They are also just bigger displays too. 240 by 280. Display more pixels. I don't know the size of their thing either. It's the same size. Or those are the same size. They're smaller in mine, but it's because my overall screen is smaller. And that they're fairly similar. But now, they said 4 minutes. So we have not gotten quite bad. Let's get a look inside of here. Can't just into. So if full refresh, and we're not getting that, right? We're getting this one. We're not doing full refresh. We are doing this. Current groups not null. We're gonna go displayio group get refresh areas. Have to find side of the group. But calling it. Here we go. Okay. What do we have? If self.item removed. So, and we are inside of a group here. Self is a group in this context. Item removed. I don't even know what item removed is. Group? Ever seen that? Item remove boolean. Item removed is true, then dirty area.next equals tail, which is what came in here. We got past a group for self, and we got past an area for tail. And actually, tail was null. We don't care about that. So probably we're not inside of here. I would not think. Force myself to keep trying this by memory. I can actually get it out correctly every time. Fine. Word. Nope. Oh, yeah, semicolon. Gotcha. Copy, but we need to get to bootloader first. a lengthy process to get to where we're going as far as like making one iteration of having to do a full build and load. And in this case, I'm expecting it to behave the exact same. So like, my hypothesis is correct, then we will see literally all the exact same stuff happen as we just saw a second ago. That's going to help tell us we're not going inside this thing, which is going to help us chase where we're actually at. So we've got our stuff drawn on the screen. We got our 2 quick refreshes. Yeah, not getting the self item remove true. There. I'm gonna go ahead and bail now with Control C since we gotta wait on that while we switch back. We can get rid of this because we know we're not in here. Next, we're going in here, looping over the members. The members are going to be each element inside the group. Basically, we're starting on the last one, actually, looks like, right? We're saying I equals length minus 1. Start on the last one. We go while I is greater than 0. We go I counting down by 1. Layer. I guess is what they're calling an element. Maybe I should start calling it a layer. If vector IO here, this is like whether vector IO is enabled overall in the entire build. If it's not in the build, then this code won't get compiled, I think, maybe. Actually, no. In our case, we have vector IO, so this code does get compiled, but our thing is not a vector IO, so we're not going inside of here. Next, we are saying layer. Yeah, and the check right here is what we would fail. So like this is going to happen. It's going to say like get the draw protocol from this object, but it's going to be null when we get it. So this is going to be false and it's not going to do anything else. It's just going to go on to here. Layer equals. So basically grab the current item, grab the current layer, treat it as a tile grid, like convert it to a tile grid, or like, you know, pretend it is a tile grid and put it inside of here. If it's not actually a tile grid, then this thing will happen, I presume. It will be equal to this instead. If it is a tile grid, then it will not be this. So if it's not equal to this, then we know that it was a tile grid. So we say tail equals tilegrid.getRefreshAreas layer was the thing we pulled out, the tile grid, basically. And then tail, which was null when we first started. But we're setting right here, so after the first one, like we're inside the loop now, so after the first one in the loop, tail will be set. Assuming that these are not like local scoped or whatever. Actually certain how scope works. So inside of here is probably where we're going to end up, I believe. But let's look on as well, just to see. So this is saying, yeah, so if it is a tile grid, then do this with it, and then also continue, which means skip the last check, basically. So like, if this was true, if it was a vector IO, we'd do these things, and we continue. It means we go on to the next one in the loop. If it was a tile grid, we do this thing, and then we continue, so we go on to the next one in the loop. If it was not a vector IO and it was not a tile grid, then it's going to come to here. It's going to basically say pretend that it's a group type and then check if that worked or not. If it is a group type, then it's going to go here and do this tail display group.getRefreshArea and continue, which means it will go around to the next loop, although in this case it's at the bottom anyway. So that's going to loop over all of the members. And at the very end, when it's done, it is then going to return tail, which is just going to be the last one of these, I guess. So for us, we do have tile grids. We should be inside this one. I mean, we have line group, I think, right? We were putting those lines into line group. Constantly refreshing, I guess, just because auto refresh is on right now. We have line group, so that one, when it's looping through here, it is going to find line group, and then that one is going to end up being a group, so it's going to go through here. But all of our actual lines themselves, as well as all of the rects, are going to be tile grids directly. They're going to go straight through this one. I presume if we get inside of here, the group one, rather than the tile grid one, I assume inside of here, it's probably actually going to look a lot like... Or it's recursive, actually. Yeah, it's going to look a lot like this function, this whole function we're in, and that's exactly because it is this function. It's recursive. So it's down here, it's going to call itself. So it's going to go inside the group. It's going to loop over all the groups things, do all the same logic we just talked about. So this is, for us, the one at the end of the chain. If we had vector IO, it'd be this one. We don't, so it's this. Grab that and go inside of tile grid. Because somewhere in here we should be bailing sooner, I think, if the thing is hidden. Because somehow we do bail when the thing is not hidden. Okay, so we get our tile grid as self, we get our tail. We say Boolean first draw equals previous area equals previous area x2. No idea what that's doing. First draw, I mean, first draw would be like drawing it the first time I get, but self that, I don't know what previous area is. I think that's like an internal thing. I'm not familiar with it. Previous area x1 equals previous area x2. An area, which I think is like represents a rectangle, so it's points, opposite points of a rectangle. Boolean hidden equals self-hidden or hidden by parent. Finally, here we are now checking if it's hidden. We're going to say if hidden. We are hidden, then we go in here, we say if it's not the first draw, then previous area dot next equals tail. Not the first draw, then previous area dot next equals tail. And then return self previous area. Updated. Else, if it is the first draw, then we return tail, which would have been whatever was passed here. If it is the first draw, we return tail. But we don't do this thing, setting it onto previous area. It is the first draw. If it is not hidden, say if self.moved and not the first draw. Are we passing into this? Which basically each time it's whatever we got returned. The first time it is null because that's what we saw all the way back here. First time it's null, but then it gets returned. Comes in as null the first time. And gets returned, which means that next time it's going to come in as whatever it was last time. It will keep getting updated here, presumably. If we moved and it's not the first draw, display area, union, previous area, current area, dirty area. Time for a new battery in the mouse. If display IO area size, dirty area less than 2u times pixel width times pixel height. Not sure what that's checking. Like checking to make sure it's not too big or something. Pixel width and pixel height, those are that map to height and width of the accepts a width and a height tiles, and then it accepts also a tile width and a tile height, which is in pixels. Maybe that's what it's talking about. There's tile height and tile width are separate. Maybe it's multiplied. Yeah, that's what it, must be what it is. It's multiplied. So the pixel width must be the tile width times the width. Width is in tiles. Actually, it looks like width. Why do we not have a width on here? We have tile width? Oh, width in tiles. Okay, yeah. But it's more specific in here. So then, yeah, so it would be, so the pixel width, I'm assuming, is width in tiles times tile width. Yep, width times tile width. Gets set in the constructor. Okay, so for the current version of the code, as it's written right now, the lines themselves are hidden. Not the group that they are inside of. This version, the lines are not hidden, nor obviously is the group that they are inside of. But if we do this, I believe we still got the slow version, right? So now the lines are visible themselves, but the group they're in is hidden, so they won't be drawn. And yeah, we do still get the slow version. slow-ish. Not as slow, actually, which is kind of interesting. Only about 6 seconds. Like a half to a third. But in this case, the entire group is null, so I feel like right here we should have another outer if statement that's like, if this group, if self hidden, self is hidden, then don't bother doing any of the rest of this stuff. Is there any reason why we would need to do anything else? Because if our group is hidden, then all of the members of that group are not going to be drawn. So we shouldn't really get any refresh areas. Pretty sure refresh areas are supposed to be rectangles that need to be redrawn. But if all the members are hidden because the group itself is hidden, then we shouldn't need to ever look at any of the members. Now, this does not help the case we had before, the worst case, where the lines themselves were hidden rather than the group. But I do think this is one part of the puzzle. Not though, probably, right? What would we do? We still just return tail though? That could mess up the... And this returns null when it's gets to there, so this got passed in as null, so if there was only one thing, then it would have returned null, I think. Okay, so maybe we try this. If we're not hidden, then do all the rest of this stuff. That should cut out some iterations. Ultimately, inside of here, we'll be cutting down our iterations. Should we turn this back on so that we can... No. Probably do one without. Wait, it really likes to just track the that character, doesn't it? Let's try this way. So let's not make that change yet, but instead we have the print in here, which is basically going to allow us to see how many iterations we had to do inside of here. So we'll be able to count the iterations for the version that doesn't have that if statement, and then see compared to the version that does have the if statement if it works how I'm thinking. It's going to be like fewer iterations by 150, because we have 150 lines that we will be able to skip. inside the subgroup. We'll still have to figure out the case where they are hidden directly themselves instead of the group they're in. Okay. So I think it's about 220. It's going to be really kind of difficult to see maybe the end. Well, we got 70 of those, and then 220. Yeah, 220 we're getting up to there. So the 70, those must be the rectangles. And the 220 is those same 70 rectangles plus also the 150 lines. Not entirely sure why we get alternating or whatever, but yeah, it's also going to keep spamming here because the REPL is also continually refreshing. So 70 and 220. So what I would expect is when we put this one in, we will still get the ones that are 70 or 69 because it's 0 based. And then instead of 220, it will be, that won't exist. We'll only get 70 because our 150 lines are inside of a group that is hidden. Have a switch. It's dangerous. Bear with me. Oh, double way. I'm prepared for this. All right, BRB. Okay, well that looks way faster to the naked eye, if I'm remembering correctly, because I feel like we were not just getting these super fast refreshes as far as this thing just continually swiping. There's a 70. Yeah, we're always getting up to 0 to 69 only now, so it's skipping over the lines. Nice. We hit the back though, so it's gonna just scroll like crazy now. Okay, yeah, so that cuts those out. That's exactly what we want. But the case where these are hidden directly. What? Instead of this whole group being hidden, line individually hidden. This one is going to be back to big loop. So it goes like 1 slow. All of these are slow. And then it blams through 70 super fast. Maybe even twice it did, I think. And then we get the slow one again. That's weird that it makes... Is that 220 includes those same 70, which we're just blasting through so fast. Okay, but those ones run faster. We only slow down after that. Okay, yeah. These ones are just slower to get through. Okay. And so, yeah. In this case, it gets better if you put all the hidden things into one group and then make that group hidden. That helps. But we also want to be... We shouldn't be... We shouldn't be looping them in here if they are hidden. Somehow we are still counting them as refresh areas. That's the thing. They shouldn't actually count as refresh areas if they are hidden. You get to... So when the whole group is hidden, that's what we added here, and that helps. But then this one is going to here, and it's saying, get me the tile grid refresh area, which does check hidden. If hidden is true, not first draw, it does this. What is this, I wonder? I don't know what this is. Not first draw. These both return. So if hidden is true, then we get either this or this. And both return, therefore we do not do any of the rest of anything inside of here. So that part is good. Hidden is true, and we are bailing before we do any of this. Assume we are. Double check though. We're gonna call this what? After hidden check. So for the like 70 through 220, we should not see that. But 0 through 69, we would. Backheader soldered for the RP2040. Put on a tripler. Respond to that person. I will be back in a minute. I gotta run to the restroom. Well, let me start this building though. All right, BRB. Okay, got the build. Footer mode. Copy it. Heading back to here and looking for some additional spam in the prints. Right, yeah. So we don't see it for any of these, but we do the first 70, which went by a bit too fast, but oh no, we didn't get it in there. Well, we did back here though. It's kind of interesting. I'm surprised it's not zippered with these. Is well, yeah, it makes sense because we're inside get refresh areas right now, but then we loop over it after. Yeah. We're printing those out while we're building up the list, but then we're printing this out after we are iterating through the list. So yeah, I was not thinking the correct way about how they would print in relation to each other. Technically, I guess we'd want to see, like, is this really possible to tell? Is that 70 lines or is that 20? Thing is, I can't like highlight this really. It just unhighlights because it's still spamming down there. So we don't have a great way to figure out if that's actually 79s or what. And inside of here, we're too deep. It doesn't know the iterations inside of here. So I can't just like print out I, increment it, because this is like inside a function. It'll start back at 0 next time. Okay. We're, yeah, no, 70. Showing rectangles are what we would expect to print this. The hidden ones would not, because it would have gone to here, and it had two choices, and they both returned. But if we are hidden, why do we not want to return null? Why do we want to do this? Standing, so tail, like my best guess is tail and next are basically being used like a linked list. Copies of my code that I've added to. Oh, that's awesome. In that case, it's a bit misleading because it feels like inside of here that we would not know about the world outside the tile grid because we're inside one specific tile grid. So like we're inside one of those lines, and it feels like we wouldn't know about anything else. But in reality, I think here we are pointing to the next one by virtue of the fact that inside group, it's calling here with tail, and tail is always updating to the next one for us to then pass in. So if we just returned null, if we were hidden, then it would not. Return null, then it wouldn't check the next one. So if the then the first hidden thing that it came by, it wouldn't draw anything after that. This theory about how this iteration happens is correct. We could test. Check hidden first because it trumps all other changes. So, I mean, the crux of it is, though, get refresh areas. Should return null or none or something that's like that when we are hidden. Which, like, the very first time, maybe it is, because we know that this would be null but only for the very first one. And if we assume that is actually first draw, as in, like, first time it's been drawn on the screen, which I also still don't know, but that would mean we do this, which is return null. Oh, and then actually, if we returned null from here, it would get put into here, which means next time actually null again. Well, but next time this is not true anymore, probably. Draw. Yes, first draw. Can I put booleans into here? Like this? Sure. That I'm actually doing my print correct. Obviously, we don't want to just do false, but say tail. I do that. Wait, where did we see that tail was? Like in our case, main group is actually the first thing that's inside the display. So main group would be the first one of these. It would be null when it got passed into here. Tail would come in as null. tail could get updated if whatever's going on here happens. But if that doesn't occur, then tail will still be null when it gets past to here. Curious to see if these are all null or what. Now we're looping through them. Straw. Actually always got not first straw, it looks like. You never even got the other one. Oh, okay. Fair enough. It feels backwards, right? It's false. It's not. We got not. Did I print those right? Not first straw. That it means not still in C, right? Exclamation point. Not first straw. They're like flipped, right? We got not first straw the first time it drew, and then yes, first straw. Look at that. Oh, and then it switches. Now we're back to not first straw. Like trading off. I don't even. Oh, and then they are what though? Were they equal to null? One. That's true. Tail is equal to null. I do not get what first straw is supposed to do. Listed in previous area. Full change or first draw. They're the only places it's mentioned. But what is previous area? Have group get previous area. Finish refresh. Does the same check on this. If not first draw and hidden is true, self.previous area x2 equals previous area x1. Else if we moved or it is the first draw. Then area copy current area previous area. I do not know what that is. Get previous area. Takes an area self dot previous. So this is that same check for. This is the same logic it used down here for first draw. Previous area x1 equals previous area x2, and then it put the result inside first draw. Up here it's not putting the result in a variable, but it's the same logic here. Oh. This area. One and x2. We never touch y values, so it's not like, is it a full point, like, or a rectangle, I guess? Never access y, always x. Okay. So I would say the biggest finding from today so far is that, well, I don't know if it's the biggest finding, but a finding is that we're going back and forth on these. The not first draws and the yes first draws are flopping back and forth. Trying to look and see if I thought one or the other was like significantly faster. I don't know. The yes first draw that has the question mark 1, like maybe that lasted for a split second longer than the not first draw. I don't know. It's pretty close. It's definitely not a significant time difference. It's maybe a hair longer, but that seems awkward that it's flipping back and forth. Unless I am totally misinterpreting what first draw is supposed to mean, it seems like first draw should stay, like, it should change once, essentially. It should be false the first time it happens, then it gets drawn, then it's no longer false, then it's true, because first draw already happened. Unless if, like maybe if it got turned hidden and then turned visible again, and then turned hidden again and visible again or whatever. Like maybe in that scenario, first draw could be changing, because maybe it counts as first draw again after it becomes visible or something. But in our case, the visibility is not changing. It's staying currently hidden true. Oh, well, actually the camera feed is dead also, but it is currently hidden true. So I don't think it should be going back and forth. Whatever first draw is, it feels like it should stay the same. I think that's one thread we chase with this, but I also think that we still are getting deeper. Than we really need to be, I think. Like I'm almost thinking something like what happens if we put this inside of here? So we're not calling this if the layer is hidden. So we're still inside the group. That means if our tile grid is hidden, then we're not even going to get inside of here. So we're not even going to worry about whether first draw or anything else. But is that going to break anything because we're not updating tail? Maybe. All right. Well, for one thing, it doesn't work, so. Excess hidden. I think it's not like really a tile grid, maybe? Like object cast to native base. Layer gets passed in as the first argument there. The self on this side, displayio tile grid t self. You go self dot hidden. Dot, but arrow. Is it because it's like a star? You have star self? Star layer? Oh, also, did I just do that? Okay, yeah. Referencing void pointer. Request for member hidden is something not a structure or union. In something, not a structure. Can you cast? Like, does Okay, doesn't seem like we can do that. Valid type argument. Valid initial. Doesn't like do anything to self here, right? Like self comes in and then immediately start doing like self.previous area, self.hidden. So layer somehow is tile grid self inside of here and has hidden and can do all that stuff. But outside here, before it gets passed in, doesn't seem to have that capability yet. You can check it against null, which basically confirms that it was a tile grid. If it came out null, that's going to be because I think it's not actually a tile grid. This item I. Okay. Finish this while we go, bro. Self. So MP object T layer. Then we're overwriting it. Well, we're not overwriting it, we're setting it. So, okay, well that's that's one of our problems is it's an MP object T. It's not a tile grid. Is inside there. So I feel like the casting might have been closer than the attempt I took. What if we did say I want to make these TG equals cast it to this layer. Say if G hit it. Oh, no semicolon, hold on. Version non-scalar type request. Valid argument type arrow. Display tile grid T. I mean, if we it's there, like we do have a well, but that's because I just cast it. Now, are we allowed to do hidden out? I mean dot, We're allowed to do dot instead of arrow? That's oh, that actually I just say layer.hidden. Convenient. I need to probably just remember hidden in something that's not a structure. So, okay, if we can get a displayio tile grid T, then we'll be able to say .hidden, it seems like. Since we don't get an error on that, but how do we get displayio object T? Testing like this seems like maybe work at least on this line. Assuming it's not going to work. So you might need like this thing on. Scalar type. If. Is there like displayio tile grid get hidden? And then we could pass layer into that? And how? Okay. Can I call this and pass in layer? If not, so if that returns false, if it's not hidden, we pass in layer. That should work, I think. The same thing that refresh areas does. Just pass it into self there. It's unclear to me. I don't get exactly how it, like by passing it in here, it's like seems to be converting into the more specific object of tile grid versus just object T. I'm entirely sure how that works, but it seems to do it. All right, let's give it a try. I think I'm probably gonna be calling it quits here before too long. Oh, somehow this is back alive. So it brought itself back. Anyway, though, I think I'll probably be calling it quits for the night pretty soon here. Look, I've learned more about it. Found some more threads to chase at least. Well, actually, we seem to have sped it up again. Yeah, there we go. Okay, okay. Yeah. And bear in mind too, like these print statements that is also gonna slow it way down compared to what it could be doing. So like once we go and take those back out, we should be even faster than this. Which honestly, that is looking good to me. I think this might have been the trick. Let's turn the we're not coming into here anymore with our hidden ones, which means these aren't printing. Oh, wait. What is this? Oh, no. This is a different thing. I was thinking of something else. I was thinking of that first draw thing. What do we want? We want inside refresh where have the loop. This. Let's turn this off again for now. Let's run one more like this. So we have to call, we can't just access hidden. We have to call this like common HAL displayio tile grid get hidden. It's backwards from the way I think about it. I think about accessing hidden as it's like a property, but instead we have to call this function and pass in our generic object. That gives us back the value of our property, or what I'm thinking of as the property hidden. Okay. I think I built, but then I went off on a tangent. So positive. It's like, I'm guessing that means that it's the same as before. So bootloader, we're going to copy that. Okay, so this would be pretty nice. That's a nice way to cap it off for the day, is if we actually did manage to speed this way up. So I think those two changes should help quite a bit. The case where if the group is hidden, then we don't bother iterating any of the children within that group. And then in this case here, we're now saying also if the tile grid is hidden, don't bother calling get refresh areas on it. One thing we do need to test though is like, what if only one of our tile grids, like the first one, was hidden, but the other 149 were not? Would this somehow break the logic, since tail is like trying to set itself to the next one or whatever? Like, maybe that's actually broken. Right now, the way I have it is all 150 are hidden, so to make a difference, but we'll have to test with some hidden, some not. We go back to that 50-50. Maybe start altering the X's as well or something. Nice. Yeah. Super fast. Multiple per second. Yeah. Now we're down from multiple seconds per refresh to multiple refreshes per second. Yeah. That's pretty good. Definitely right direction. Okay, cool. So it still needs some cleanup. It still needs some testing. There is still actually a lot of spamming prints going on. We will be able to speed up even more when we go and turn those prints back off. And it looks like we're basically, this is about the speed that I'm used to displayio going. This is about the speed I was expecting to hopefully get up to with this example and its hidden lines. So we get it cleaned up and tested a bit more, pre-commit run, all that stuff, then I'll make a PR with this. So, and if I run it this way, now I'm actually expecting this will be slower. Which makes sense because it has to draw the lines. Now, one thing is that I'm not certain if it should still be if it should be this slow. It does slow down kind of a lot, but I mean, we have 150 lines here, so like it looks like we just drew a line and that's slowing it way down, but like you have 150 lines. But this does make sense, right? This should be slower. Visible should be slower than hidden. Visible takes more work than hidden. So being able to squeeze more performance out of this, I think, is a side. It's like totally separate from this issue here. And it's looking to me like we got the crux of that issue solved. But like I said, still needs some testing, still needs some cleanup. Anyway, I will call it for now. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your evening and week and all that. And I will see you all later. I find the right browser.